Greetings, YouTube. Today we'll be discussing Speedbumps, Flooring Through the Hollywood by Terry Garr with Henriette Mantel. This is a memoir or autobiography. I'm not really sure where this falls in between those two definitions. I never really figured out which one is which, but that's just me. It's kind of one of those plastic terms, I think. Six of one, half a dozen of another. And right off the bat, Terry Garr came into the world in a show business family. Her mother was a rockette. Her father was a vaudevillian and then worked on stage and in films and on TV, though he never made it the break that he wanted to, mostly because he was a compulsive gambler and an alcoholic. These will hold you back in life. So her mother did her best to hold the family together while traipsing behind her husband across the country. And she traipsed behind her husband from job to job to job because apparently her mother was obsessed with her father. Not in love with her father, obsessed. And that's a different thing, and it is far less healthy. So rather than stay in one spot and try to have a stable environment for her kids, she chased her husband across the country. And this did not create an environment of a healthy upbringing for her three children. Terry Garr has two older brothers. One of who's a doctor. I can't remember what the other one is. And for some reason, I always imagined that Terry Garr was younger than me. I think it's probably because I was first introduced to her in Young Frankenstein. And Young Frankenstein came out a long time ago. And of course, she is right there in the corner. She is, eternally youthful and beautiful and incredibly sexy in that film. And so I guess in my head, she just never aged, even though I've seen her in other films. Though not all of them. I actually realized after having read the book that I actually haven't seen that many of her films. I'll have to make correct that problem. I know I don't have a copy of Mr. Mom. I need to get it. I always enjoyed Mr. Mom. I thought that was quite entertaining. Schooner tuna. That's a great name for tuna fish. Another thing interesting is that out of the gate, her age is never nailed down. In fact, even though the IMDb page says that she was born in 47, there are hints in here that she was born in 44. And in fact, when her father died, his age was 5 years off because you just didn't do that in show business. You never gave your real age. You always wanted to be younger than you were. And particularly for women, that can be a problem because you get to a certain point and you age out of roles. And there was a case I read recently of Maggie Gyllenhaal where she was told at age 38 that she was too old to play the love interest of a 55-year-old male. Yeah, that's Hollywood for you. It's a little institutionalized sexism. But speaking of institutionalized sexism, the part of the book that got me the most was when she began to deal with the fact that she has MS. So she was a dancer in her youth and everything, and she was very physical. And she danced in 9 Elvis movies. I did not know that. I did not. I've seen a few Elvis movies. They're not good. But the fact that she was in 9 of them as a dancer was quite entertaining. I thought that made me smile. So she was very aware of her body in a way that a lot of people may not be aware of their body because they aren't dancers. Okay, your body is your tool. And even as she moved into acting, she began to notice that there was a problem with her body. And that problem was MS. But it took her 20 years to get a functioning, decent diagnosis of this. And a lot of the reason behind that is that doctor after doctor after doctor, all of whom were men, dismissed her condition. And in fact, in one particular episode where she was talking to a doctor, about, I think it was like 4 or 5 years into her pursuit of trying to figure out what is wrong with my body. Why is this not working anymore the way it's supposed to work? And she knew it wasn't just aging. She'd seen enough dancers age. There was something else going on. Well, 4 or 5 years into this, she had a doctor sit her down and say, okay, tell me, what do I have to do to convince you there's nothing wrong with you? Which is when I would have been arrested because I would have decked the SOB right there on the spot. But we teach women not to do that kind of thing now, don't we? So she just kept going from doctor to doctor to doctor. For eventually, she found a doctor that gave her the diagnosis that she needed, and actually started her on the medication regimen that helped her. And they've changed over time. Medications have improved, but now in the modern era, she's in a wheelchair because she has a hard time being mobile now at this point at all. And in the last few years, she's done a lot of voice work, which is good because she got a great voice. Interesting, a lot of voice work in computer games. I did not know she was doing that at all. But it makes sense that she's doing voice work. Voice work is a great option for people who have mobility issues and may not want to be acting or can't get acting jobs because of the fact that they have them. Because ableism. But it was an entertaining book. It was interesting. It was nice to see the way she moved through the history of film in some ways. I didn't realize she had touched on so many major actors and major directors. I really didn't. So I enjoy, one of the reasons I enjoy reading biographies of Hollywood is it's like taking a strata, of Hollywood's history and seeing how it connects to everything. It's really interesting in that regard. And I've got a Steve McQueen on my shelf, and a Stanley Kubrick, which I'm waiting to get to. I have been reading a lot of biographies lately. So if you are a fan of Terry Garr, of her films, and you want to know about the history of someone that moves from a physical, non-acting aspect of the entertainment and moves into acting and becomes a big name before she ages out and is pushed out of because of her physical disease, that also impacted her ability to get roles. Because once people know you've got MS, whoa, you're untouchable. Yeah, many actors have had that kind of problem, which is sad because a person is not their disease. Their disease is their disease, and you shouldn't be treating people as though they are a disease, because they aren't. Speaks the person with diabetes. But definitely worth a read. Quite enjoyable. It moved fairly quickly, which is nice. I find that some biographies do and some biographies don't. And her help with Henriette Martell was nice because I heard Terry Garr's voice in the book. It was really much like Terry Garr telling me about her life. I wasn't feeling that I was reading it through a filter of the author. She did a nice job of supporting Miss Garr as opposed to overshadowing her, which is always good in a biography. So there you go. If you're a Terry Garr fan and want to read a biography of famous Hollywood actress, read Speedbumps, Flooring It Through Hollywood.